Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, takes to his right, gets to the 20. He's at the 30, needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline, breaks a hard tackle, comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hurst breaking tackle after tackle, sweeps down the sideline. Throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He died. Touchdown, 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking down in post, and it's good. Touchdown! Touchdown, 49ers!
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell intercepted. The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption. Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown. No greater redemption.
The San Francisco 49ers. We can do whatever we want.
Click, click, boom. What is going on, faithfuls? It's your boys Mike and Tony from the Nothing But Niners crew, and guys, we are here to bring you guys another fun-filled episode. All right, enough of the applause. We love y'all too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we are happy to be here, man. Tony, man, I can't wait to get into this show. Let me go through the formalities before we get to the show, man. This is going to be a fun one. I promise you guys that. And I know that Tony is here for a good time, not a long time. So let's go ahead and get this started. Guys, scrolling across the bottom of your screen are your instructions for today's episode. If this is your first time here on the YouTube page, please make sure you subscribe. Then after you subscribe, hit the like button on this video. And then after you do that, turn on your notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Not all shows are announced early. Sometimes we go to do a little bit of impromptu things. Sometimes we go significantly earlier than normal, as in tonight's situation. But we want to bring you guys some good and consistent content, so make sure you guys are locked in. Give us a follow on some of our social media pages. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. Those handles are Nothing But Niners, that is spelled all the way out. And then follow us on Snapchat and X. Those handles are Nothing But 9ERS. You guys can see my handle right there below. It is Mike Andrews 83, and to my right is my guy Tony. He is on X, but he tries to hide, guys. He tries to hide. His handle is NJ9ERFan499. All right, NJ9ERFan499. Tony.
Yep.
We are about to have a fun show. All right, guys, this is what I want you guys to do right now that are watching. I want you guys to fire off any questions you may have for Tony and myself. We are going to spend the first 10 minutes of the show answering whatever questions you guys may have before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything. But I'm going to start with the first question to my man, Tony. Tony, how you been? What's going on with you, big dog? It's a long time no see.
I've just been busy working. A lot of work, man. Just grinding, doing stuff with the kids, getting ready for the summer, trying to get the house, my garage cleaned out. You know, my son's got more toys than freaking Toys R Us had. But, you know, just other than that, just maintaining, working, and that's it pretty much.
Okay, all right. I like it, man. You know, that's kind of pretty much been the same thing for me. I don't know if I told you guys, but a couple of weeks ago, my baby brother got into an accident with my kids in the car. They got T-boned. And we had to take my two of my daughters had to go to the hospital. They weren't really feeling well. My son was fine; he was in the front. But the daughters that were on the back seat where the impact was, we had to take them to the hospital. They weren't feeling too well. They, you know, a little bit of PTSD, man. I didn't think that was a thing. You know, like I'm driving out the other day, and I make a left, not from the same intersection, but a block down onto the same road, and my baby girl says, "Whew, we made it out safe this time." And I'm like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" She goes, "You know, when we were in the car with Uncle Pumbaa, we didn't make it out, but this time we made it out okay." And that's when it was like, oh my God, like PTSD is a real thing. Like I knew it was real, but like it can affect kids early on. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of don't really understand it until you going through it with someone you know. So it is a real thing, man. You got to kind of respect, not kind of, but you have to respect everybody, what they've been through. You don't know everyone's story, so just interesting. But anyway, I said all that to say this. I left work early today, and I drove to Allentown, Pennsylvania with my brother to buy a new car for him. So I want to give him a round of applause. Way to bounce back, little bro. Very happy for him. We went out and got him a new car. He liked the model. He liked the model and make that he had, so he found one a little bit newer, upgraded a bit. And so, it was good to see him, getting back on his feet, man. That's the right way to do it. So, I'm very happy for him. Now, guys, again, everybody out there in the chat, I see Dan has a question for us already. Everybody out there in the chat, guys, please load up the questions. We're going to pop them up here on the screen, and we are going to get to them, again, the first 10 minutes of the episode. Before we do that and I start asking questions that have been sent to us, Tony, how was your Father's Day, man? I know I saw this comedian say something like Father's Day is the 20th ranked holiday in the United States. The 20th. Now, I don't know how true this is, right? This could have just been like a joke, like something that he was working on for material. But, Tony, can you name 10 holidays? Like, how the hell does Father's Day come in 20th, bro? Like, that's an insane stat.
I got to be honest with you. Father's Day is just like another day for me because somehow this Father's Day, I wind up going out early in the morning, running errands, bringing breakfast home for everybody. Like grabbing myself a coffee in the morning, bring breakfast home. I'm doing shit around the house. And I'm just like, wait a second. It's Father's Day. What's wrong? So I'm just like over it. So it's whatever. It's just another day to me.
Oh,
I don't
man.
From anybody. So I just, it's like the only thing I took off this year. So that was it. That was my Father's Day. I just relaxed.
Yeah, you took the day off and got to kick your feet up a little bit, right?
A little bit.
So
Yeah, a little bit, we'll say.
Kurt says here, 20th is pretty high if you had a list of all holidays. It's not that it's not high or low. My issue is that I don't know 20 holidays. He said Columbus Day was ranked higher than Father's Day. Like, this is what the comedian said. I can't come up with. I understand Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, obviously Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Memorial Day, I even get, right? Like Veterans Day, those are days that people have off, like the national holidays, right? Like I get President's Day, like people it's excuses to go outside and grill. Where are the other 14 holidays? Like Halloween, maybe, right? Like that's candy, that's 7. What the heck else is there?
I don't know, dude. I really don't know.
Is St. Patrick's Day more important nationwide than Father's Day?
If you're Irish, sure. But I mean, I'm not Irish. You're not Irish.
That's 8. Right. I mean, my middle name is O'Brien, so I kind of like that, right? I kind of play it off,
Oh, so you fit in there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Like I got a chance to go out there. Juneteenth, okay, that's Darius, right? So now we're up to 9. Dan says Cinco de Mayo. By the way, I found out recently Mexicans hate Cinco de Mayo. It's an American thing. It's not a thing in Mexico. Did you know that?
I 100% knew it because I felt like the biggest asshole when I went to Mexico. We went one year. We went to end of April into May. I think it was 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? I did the draft with you guys from Mexico. I forgot, but
that's right. That's right.
I went out. I bought like this crazy ass shirt. I thought they were gonna do like this thing on the beach and stuff like that. So I walk into the hotel. I was like, "Yo," I said, "I'm happy as shit." They're like, "Oh, why, Mr. Anthony? Why?" I said, "Well," I said, "This is my first time spending celebrating Cinco de Mayo in Mexico." The guy's like this. I said, "Are you guys doing like a party or an event?" He goes like this to me, legit. Crickets, 100%. I was like, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Mr. Anthony, that's an American holiday. We don't celebrate that here." I'm like,
"Yes."
I go, "You kidding me, bro?"
So you're all decked out for Cinco de Mayo. You probably got the big ass sombrero on. They're like, "Look at this asshole. Look at this appropriating
that's
asshole."
Exactly what it was. I was like, "Yo, are you kidding me?" He's like, "No, Mr. Anthony." He goes, "But if you want," he goes, "we can make you a special dinner on the beach if you want." I was like, "Nah, man, I'm good."
Right.
Vacation.
All right, MLK Day, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's. That's 4 more. Guys, we're only up to 13. He says Mardi Gras is kind of celebrated. That's 14. How the hell are there 20 holidays celebrated? How is Mother's Day number 1 and Father's Day 20? Like, do women know that they don't get Mother's Day without men? Like it doesn't exist.
Don't say that
Guys,
too
we got to
loud.
do something, man. We got to freaking revolt, guys. Like I think we got to band together or something. We got to do something about this. We need Father's Day to be a little bit more appreciated in this damn country, man. Like I promise you guys, man. I did say Veterans Day. I did that. He's okay. Dan says he thinks it's based on spending. Now that I'm inclined to believe. I don't think Father's Day costs nearly as much as the rest of these holidays.
Oh Christ! If it came down to spending, it's Mother's Day, 100%.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Okay. All right, guys. Fire off those questions. Tony and I are going to do our best to answer these questions. Then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of our episode. All right. Anything that you guys want to ask either one of us, both of us, about this 49ers team or anything in general, we're going to get to it. All right. I'm going to start from the first ones that I saw. DJ Malone kicks us off here, man. Let me get the horn here for DJ Malone. So the title of today's episode is 49ers wide receivers, who steps up? And I think he was trying to go along those lines. Is Isaiah Nayar the one? Is Isaiah Nayar the one I keep hearing about? Okay, so yes, that is a wide receiver that we were hearing about before the mandatory mini camps. It was the training camp is when his name was kind of getting hot. But I didn't hear a whole lot about this guy in mandatory mini camps. Tony, what's going on with this guy? What do you know about him? And is he someone that we should be keeping an eye out for?
I mean, absolutely. He's the guy that you draw up. You say, what's a prototypical NFL wide receiver? Well, he's 6'4", 220 pounds, and he runs a sub 4.4. That's him. Unfortunately, he's been around the Collegiate Football League. Started off, I forgot where he started off. Went to Wyoming after that. Then he went to Texas. Then he went to Nebraska. So he bounced around a little bit, but like if you want to draw a dude up, this is the dude you want to draw up. I also think the 49ers are hiding him a little bit when the press is there, not really showing him off so they can't get out, through social media, and other teams pick up on it because they do watch social media. So when the press is not allowed there, they could be repping him and seeing what they got with him, see how developed he is, what he needs to work on, see where he is in his development, actually, I should say. But, I mean, if you draw a dude up as a wide receiver one, that's the way you're going to draw him up.
Okay. All right. I like that. I respect that. Now, I think that the thing is, like, if he's you're talking about physical traits, specifically just physical traits.
Yeah.
This kid was undrafted, right? Like, so how is he all of that? Like,
because he never put it together. He never fully put it together. That's the problem. And, he sustained the ACL at Texas. He went to Nebraska. He showed a little bit. He put some film up. It caught the eyes of NFL teams, obviously. I heard there was a lot of interest in him coming out as an undrafted free agent, but he chose to go to San Francisco. I don't know the details of his contract, what they gave him, what was offered to him on the street, but he did enough in Nebraska to get people to look at him. And then you put his talent and his measurables and his testing numbers in there. And that's why he is where he is. He's an undrafted free agent with upside, very raw, but needs developing.
He had his athleticism score was off the charts. I mean, of all wide receivers at the 2025 Combine, he ranked second for his athleticism score. So that's phenomenal, right? But if you look at production score, he was ranked 34th, which I still don't think is incredibly low considering how many wide receivers enter the draft, right? His prospect grade on NFL.com was 5.85, and his total overall score was 73, which was good enough for 18th. I am pretty sure 20 receivers got drafted. This kid went undrafted, man. He was projected to go in the 6th or 7th round, and the Niners get him as an undrafted free agent. Now, his college production, I think that's what people should, kind of maybe look at. It looks like he moved to different colleges. Nebraska, you mentioned already, University of Texas, also with the Longhorns.
Yeah, Wyoming.
Was there anything like wild about him? Like, was there? I mean, I'm looking at his stats right now, Tony. This kid had a total. Let me see what his career. Here we go.
Like 80-something catches, 1,500 yards,
33 total games. Yeah, 87 receptions, 1,595 yards, average of 18.3, 17 touchdowns. I mean,
in a 5-year
these
career.
aren't. Was this 2019, 20, 21? He missed all of 2022. Was that due to injury?
Yeah, that's the year at Texas, I think.
And then 2023, he only played in one game, so that whatever that injury was had to be serious. He's only played 2 full seasons of college. Is that what it is? Is that what the issue is with him? Was it injury? Is that how someone like him goes undrafted? I mean, the size is there, the measurables are there, the athletic testing is there. Is it attrition? Is it injuries?
Yeah, I mean the injuries held him back from developing and producing at the collegiate level. That's what it comes down to. So now it's a question mark. You don't know what you're getting. If it's based off of what he tests and his athleticism and all that stuff, his height, weight measurements, his vertical, he should have been a top day 2 pick, maybe day 1, day 2 pick with those numbers. But all his measurements and stuff like that didn't line up to the tape.
So I'm looking at, I pulled up his injury history here. I'm going to break this down for you guys here. In 2022, he suffered a torn ACL in his left knee during the preseason training camp at Texas. Like Tony said, that was his first season there, and he missed the entire season. In 2023, after recovering from the ACL, he returned to play in the 2023 season opener against Rice, where he caught one pass of 14 yards. He then entered the transfer portal and subsequently transferred to Nebraska, but that was his only game playing there. And then that was 2023. It doesn't say what the exact injury was or if there was an injury, but then it says there were also reports of a sprained ankle during his time at Texas, but it was not season-ending. So everyone, as soon as Trent Baalke left the 49ers, everyone was like, oh, we're done drafting injury guys. And we've learned that that's not the case, Tony. Some of these injury guys, man, they still get drafted. They still become priority free agents for the 49ers. Give me ceiling, and I don't want you to be like super optimistic because we are going to talk about the wide receivers. Actually, you know what? We'll save that. We'll come back to Isaiah and Nayar later on. Okay, we'll come back to him later on. Let me see here. What other questions do we have? Here's another one here. This is from Dan the Corn Man. He says, "Which position is most concerning to you?" Let's just start there. He tells us that his is running back and all, but we'll get to that in a little bit. If you had to pick one position group that was the most concerning, right? What is that to you, Tony, and why? Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
I'm gonna go with offensive line still. I know that. You know what? You go first. Let me get this work call, okay?
All right. I'm going to go specifically to one position, and that's going to be the backup offensive tackle. You have Trent, you have McKivitz, and then they're really, 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 really hyping up this Pleasance kid that they signed as a street free agent last year during the end of the season. He actually played and got some reps. I think he actually started a game towards the latter part of the year due to injuries. They say he really had a great offseason coming into this year's camp. And he's in great shape. He's moving really well. He improved. He did like a 360. Like he came in a different dude. But the problem is he's a journeyman. He's been on like 7 teams since being in the NFL. That's a little concern. So essentially they're okay with putting all their eggs in. We're going with him, God forbid, if there's an injury. I know they signed Dillard from Philly and Green Bay. They have this guy. They have another guy in the roster. I'm not sure what his name was. I forgot. It was another street guy. But the swing offensive tackle. And another interesting thing is Burford right now seems to be getting the majority of the reps at the left tackle spot. So right now I'm talking about I'm going to say the depth at the tackle position. I think the interior is pretty good. But I think the depth at the tackle position is a very questionable spot right now.
So are you saying that offensive line is also your biggest concern?
No, because I think their offensive line is going to be okay. I think they added a couple really nice pieces. They're not big name pieces, right? They signed the guy from I forgot his name. Another dude they signed off the street last year. Used to play for Atlanta. Damn, I'm losing his friggin' name. Oh, man.
You talking about the center?
The center guard guy.
That was the old man. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Hold on. 49ers, center, Falcons.
Wow, fuck. I forgot his damn name.
Oh, Matt Hennessy.
Someone that played center guard in a similar system, played under Mac, learned under Mac. I'm not saying he is Alex Mack, but they added that piece. Then they added the rookie from Iowa, Kobe, and tons of experience. Had more experience as a starting guard at the collegiate level than guys that went in day 2 and day 3, like early day 3. Played at Iowa. Excellent offensive line coach there. They prep these guys for the next level. They run a very similar offense with the outside zone and the run game. Could use a little work on his pass protection, but hearing great reviews about him, how athletic he looks, really seems that Forrester's really focusing on Hennessy and Pleasance and Kobe, that he's really getting in and chewing these guys out. Really more towards Pleasance and Kobe because they're rookies, but I heard also Hennessy had a solid camp with the team. Granted, no pads are on, but moving the line in unison and stuff that you want to see. So I think the interior offensive line, I mean, Brendel's Brendel. They love Brendel. They're not going to move off from Brendel. I just don't understand why, but it is what it is. We have to run with it. But I just feel like the interior of this offensive line has the potential to be better and more deep than it was last year. Barch is another dude who came in who started versus Buffalo and the game before, but actually got hurt versus Buffalo, and the run game looked pretty damn good. The pass protection looked pretty good from the left side. So, the interior is encouraging. The interior is encouraging on paper right now. We got to see it, and we have to see it with our own eyes in preseason stuff. But what I'm really scared about is the depth at the tackle spot behind the 2 starters. We never seen Burford as tackle in the NFL. Dillard, yes, he's a high draft pick. He came to the 49ers. He's played in systems similar with Green Bay. So he is an experienced starter at left and right tackle, I believe. So he could be penciling as a swing tackle right now. But where's Burford? Burford was originally a left tackle at college. We moved him inside. Is he better a left tackle at this level? We don't know. But on paper, I feel a lot more confident with the interior than I was last year. But the depth of the tackle spot is very, very, very concerning right now.
So that's addressing my biggest concern in the offensive line, right? And so what position is your biggest concern, or are you specifying like the left tackle spot?
I think the defensive line is going to be okay. I mean, they added a lot of young talent to that defensive line. Then they added Huff as the pass rusher that's been missing. I think the linebackers are going to be good. I mean, maybe you could bring a veteran in, but I don't think they necessarily need it. The second position I would really focus on would be the safety. You could have potentially 2 new starting safeties this year. 2 guys that were not on this roster last year, Pinnock and Grant. It all depends on Jair Brown, how he comes back from his old ankle surgery, where he is in his development. Is it going back to a more familiar system in this? When Wilkes was, well, not familiar, but same type of back-end responsibilities. We don't know because now Salah's here. What are they going to be asking to do back there? Is it going to be strictly cover 3? Is it going to be camouflaged in or cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, cover 0? What are we going to see? So we don't know with that. I like Demo. We know what we have with Demo. I like Green. We know what we have with Green. So, the corner – I don't know. It's safety and the tackle spot's really concerning to me.
I understand. I think the second most worrisome for me is probably the defensive line, and I love the talent that we acquired to put on that defensive line. It's honestly just the inexperience for it there, and that kind of echoes my same sentiment and concerns with the offensive line. Is that we invested a lot in it. We put a lot of good prospects there, right? But we haven't seen anything long term, and so it's got to be both sides of the trenches. Now, odds are when you're throwing that many pieces at it, someone's going to pan out and it's going to be good. So I do like that there. And now to Dan's point, he said that the running back position was his biggest concern. And I'm going to be honest with you, Dan. I am least concerned about the running back position. With Christian McCaffrey being back and healthy, I'm not buying the whole, like the injuries and all that stuff, and he looks slow. I'm not buying that. I don't think this time of the year is when you want to see him out there running 100% and going full speed. I really, really like Garindo and hope that he can develop. And then, not for nothing, the Niners, Kyle Shanahan, they make names out of nobodies. I hate to say nobody, sorry, out of unknowns. How's that at that position? So I'm not overly concerned about that. So that's where I'm going to go there. We got another question here from Calla Young. He says, Mike and Tony, do you think Jordan Watkins can crack this roster? Tony, I went first last time. I'm going to give this one to you here. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. I think he's special. I really do. You know, we looked at we did our draft board. He was on our. Let me see. Yes, he was on our draft board.
I think he did crack the draft board, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
I had him in round 5. He went, I think, round 4. He's on our draft board, and I'm going to tell you one thing about him. If you go back and you watch film, right? Oh, Trey, who's their top receiver? Trey Harris, I think his name was, who went, I think, to the Chargers. Trey Harris. If we're a talent evaluation, if we're looking at wide receiver position, all right, he's their top dude. You watch him, and then what happens? Oh, look at that dude. Oh, look at that dude. So I said to myself, all right, well, while I'm watching Trey Harris, I noticed Watkins, and then I noticed Wells, the other wide receiver. And then I'm like, all right, it seems like Wells is more how do you say it?
Refined?
Not refined, but it seems like he was a little bit ahead in their depth chart for Ole Miss. And you watch Wells, but then there's Watkins. So I'm like, okay, let's not watch Wells. Let's watch Watkins and see if Harris or Wells catches my eye. And it wasn't happening. I watched the Arkansas game. Okay, don't hold me to it. 8 catches, 250, 5 touchdowns.
Right.
Arkansas had a pretty damn good secondary last year. Not a lot of guys came out. I think maybe one guy maybe got drafted. The other guys were like, you know, still they stayed back, and they're younger dudes that stuck together for another year. But this kid single-handedly dominated that defense. And for someone watching Harris, watching Wells, didn't seem like he was a top 2 option. He was lying. It wasn't just in the slot. He was wide. He was lining up all over the formation. So it's not like he's just a slot wide receiver. No, this guy could play across the board. And the thing that I like is you saw in that game when they were trying to roll to him, and he was still performing. Granted, they weren't big plays. He was still making catches. He breaks tackles. He doesn't go down easily. It was impressive. So with that being said, after focusing on Harris and trying to focus on Wells, I said, screw that. I'm focusing on Watkins and then see if Harris or Wells catches my eye. They didn't.
The more I went back and watched Watkins, I really like his hands. I really like his catch ability.
He's a hands catcher.
I don't know if it's Crabtree-like, but I got Crabtree vibes. Crabtree was not a body catcher. He was a guy that plucked the ball out of the air almost effortlessly. And I kind of got that, like, again, giving him Crabtree comparison is high praise, but that's what I saw. I'm not going to say that he looked as good as Crabtree, but, like, he's that type of catcher. And so I really did like that. And, of course, you guys saw the 4.37 speed, so everyone's going to be like, oh, that guy's he's going to be good. He's going to be good. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. And you guys see the banner there. Make sure you fire off those questions. We're going to do this for a few more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and get into what the show is about today.
Just real quick, not only will he crack the roster, I think he will have a role potentially in this offense in the early part of the season. Because don't forget,
that was
Aiyuk.
I was going to say that was part 2 of the question here. Can Watkins crack the top 4 should be the question. And there's your answer right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to – can he be a top 4? Yeah, he could be a top 4, yeah.
Especially early on, right? There's no Debo. There's no Aiyuk early on. So right away, you're going with Pearsall as your number one, right? We didn't see anything from Cowing, right? You got Juwan Jennings, that's number 2, or 1 and then 2 for Pearsall. I don't care the order you put them in. But where else are you going after that, right? So you got a guy that's coming in.
Cowan had a great camp. And he
Great
looks
camp,
like he's
good
a lot
offseason.
heavier. He's stockier.
Put on some more weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of those things sound good, but we got to see if it translates to the field. You know what I mean? So we got to see how it plays out. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Let me see what else I got starred in here. I was trying to star him as I saw him coming in here. Callie Young says, are you guys worried about cornerback outside of Demore and Green? I'm not really concerned. The Niners actually drafted a nickelback, right? And so I remember when we drafted the corner, and I was like, man, they took this guy kind of high. And that's if you're expecting him to play outside. But if you're drafting him to play nickel, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, that makes sense, right? Like nickel corners don't get drafted nearly as high as outside guys or you're starting outside guys, right? It's kind of like people wanting us to draft a center or a guard in the second round. That's just not where that position goes, right? So the Niners kind of did the right thing going out there and drafting a corner to play nickel. So I like our starting guys for sure. And if the defensive line is half of what we hope it is, I think they're going to be able to cover up a lot of concerns for the secondary in general. You know, Tony was talking earlier about the perhaps 2 new starting safeties and all that. And it's possible, but if this defensive line is getting after it the way that we hope they can, then we should be okay. I think we'll be okay. So I'm not overly concerned about it. Now, if you're looking for just a name, like, oh, who's it going to be? Then I understand the concern, right? I can't pinpoint a name that's, if God forbid, knock on wood, one of those guys goes down, who's it going to be? That I can't give you an answer for, right? I don't know what the name is going to be for outside corner number 3. I don't know. But I am very confident in whoever it is that we have to roll out in that role. What about you, Tony?
No, I agree. I mean, like you said, they drafted Stout. We had Demo and Renardo Green back. Stout's added to the nickel spot. They signed the kid Brown from the Seahawks, who showed that he could play inside outside. He's been getting looks as the nickel corner with keeping Demo outside, but also could flop that and put Trey Brown outside and put Demo back in as nickel in passing situations. So they have options, right? It's not like the cupboard is bare. There's been a lot of positive talk about Luter, how he's looked in camp, the shape that he's in, how he's moving and stuff like that. Again, there's no pads or anything, but there's been positive talk about how Luter has showed up. So there's still pieces there. They signed a couple other dudes. I just don't know their names off the top of my head. Smaller tier guys, nothing crazy. But there's a lot of youth. Other than your top 3 potentially, or top 2. Well, we'll say top 2, but your 2 starters. There is a little question, but the pieces that they've added, it seems like they can contribute if put into a position. Now, the success and how they will be, we don't know yet. We have to wait till they get on the field, even in preseason, to get looks at these guys as well.
You know, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and answer. Let me ask this next question here from Mark, and then I'll get into my spiel about what I was going to say here. Mark says here, is it concerning that Collins is still unsigned? I believe, Tony, it's your turn to go first on this one.
I don't think it's concerning. I just think it's just language. I think the money's set. Now, I read something where the second-round picks have a little more negotiating rights, I guess, for structure.
Yeah, so a couple of the early guys that got signed, and they weren't even the top second-round guys, they got guaranteed contracts. And so now you got other second-round guys saying, well, I was picked in the top 10, top 15 of the second round. I want guaranteed also. So now it's more about language, right? The money is the money. They just want to iron out those guarantees. I personally am not concerned. I think I'm with you there, Tony.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing to be. This is not the situation of what's going on in Cincinnati with Stewart. It's not that type of situation, but I just think this is just a little language thing, and that's it. He'll be signed. He'll be ready for camp. I think the Cav is a little concerning, but I do think it's really precautionary because I think there's no need. If there's no pads being put on, why do you need a massive defensive tackle on the field? Right? It's basically like a modified walkthrough. Let him heal up 100% so he's ready instead of putting him on the field and trying to force him, if I'm not force him, but take a little risk by just making him go through a modified walkthrough and it causing more extensive damage to the calf. I'm fine. Let him sit. He's in the weight. They said he walked into the weight room, was working out. I'm good with that. That's fine. Camp comes. Now, if he's not there the first couple of days of camp, then you got a little concern. But I fully expect him to be there. Kyle Shanahan said if the camp started today, he'd be here. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I was listening to, with these defensive players, man, I was listening to Robert Saleh's presser, and what I love about him is how intentional he is with everything he says. If he misspeaks while he's answering a question, he corrects himself immediately. He doesn't wait for the question to be over. He'll stop himself and fix what he's saying. And one of the things that he kept getting asked over and over was, what do you think about this guy or this group and all that stuff? And his answer over and over was not to blow smoke up anybody's ass. In fact, it was the exact opposite. Let's see when the pads come on. I'll be able to have a better idea when the pads come on. They were like, oh, well, there's only a handful of guys that are still on the roster since you were here last time. What do you see in the new faces? And he's like, I don't know until the pads come on. I don't know. He would not give anybody high praise. He talked about their work ethic. He talked about their tenacity and looking into the playbook and learning the plays and all that stuff, their study habits and all. He spoke fondly of in that sense, but as far as what these guys actually are and who they are, what he thinks they can become, he would not give anybody high praise. I mean, the only person that he gave high praise to, if I'm being honest with you guys, was Huff. And that's because he's actually had him in his system and he knows what he could bring if maximized. And so I thought that was genius. I personally don't like when coaches come in and start praising a lot of guys before they see them in pads. You know, this time of the year, we talk about it a lot. Every off season or preseason, we talk about how this time of the year it's supposed to favor the offensive guys. You know, there's no tackling, there's no contact, so these guys are supposed to be making the big plays. You're not jamming receivers when they're running the routes and all that stuff and all. So, you know, it's just more of it's catch and go and just seeing if you're in the right position. But you can be in the right position and miss every tackle that comes your way. It doesn't mean that you're any good. So I love that Robert Saleh was very good. And this kind of goes to my thing with, is it concerning about Collins, right? It's not just Collins, right? Michael Williams and Stout and all these guys. None of these guys have shown anything worth praising as far as what they're going to be able to contribute when the games actually start. And so I love that Robert Saleh paces himself that way. Go ahead, Tony.
There was a little positive about Michael Williams in the rookie camp. He didn't do this. Again, he had a slight hamstring. But like watching videos of him with his get off and stuff like that and his power out of his stance. I mean, I know these guys aren't in full pads, but dude, he jolted somebody 5 yards back. I mean, you see the talent, you see why he was picked where he was at. And I just think like you're not going to get the full evaluation of a lineman until there's full pads on. Like, but you also see why he was selected by the 49ers in round one, right? The first step, he's developing that first step. Koseric's working on his footwork, his foot placement out of the 4-point stance. You see him working with Bosa with his hand and his swipe to alleviate the tackle from getting to his chest plate. And you see the power out of the stance. It's like the same thing with Huff. Like when they were showing videos of Huff, I don't know if it was you, I forgot who it was. I think it was somebody on Twitter saying, "Oh, I don't see the pass rush." Well, if you really watch Koceric, how he breaks people in, how he reps them, his first step is an automatic power rush because all it is you're not going to a point, you're going through. So it's straight bang out.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
And punch to the plate, and he wants to see the explosion out of the stance. So how do you get full explosion? You're not trying to run an arc because if you go full explosion on an arc, you're going to fall. Your full explosion is straight a straight line, a straight path from point A to point B. And you saw Huff do it. I'm not worried about Huff one bit because he played in this system with the Jets, and he had his most productive year with 10 sacks. And that's part of the reason why I think San Francisco went out and traded for him and why Saleh probably said, bring Huff in. So I'm good with that. Michael Williams, granted, he's a little raw. He's not at the level of a Bosa, obviously. He does need work, but you see why the 49ers invested in him. He's committed, his work ethic, his character, all that stuff, all the boxes are checking. Now the final couple boxes that need to be checked are once the pads come on. And unfortunately, we're not going to see that probably until late training camp and maybe even potentially into a first preseason game.
And to what Tony was talking about, early on they showed Huff working with Chris Kosarek. They simulate the snap, and he's just running straight. And I criticized it. Like, everyone's like, oh, he looks so good. He looks so good. And I'm like, this isn't helping improve this kid. And that's what my that was in our group chat. I didn't post it on X. And what I was saying was I just don't see how this is beneficial. He's not, when they snap the ball in real life, he's not running straight through anybody. So Tony was giving the counter to that. And so it's good for clarification. I just want people to know what exactly we were talking about. When they posted those clips early on, I'm like, that's great and all, but that's not real. Like, he was running over the tackle dummy, like just straight through him. You know, it wasn't arm checking or anything like that. It was just running straight through. And I was like, I just don't see how this is beneficial. And I love what Tony is saying. You're talking about the explosion factor. And that's very different than bending and getting around somebody. So I do have an appreciation for that once Tony broke it down that way. All right. The next question here is a really good one, in my opinion. This is from DJ Maloney. Says, how concerned are you guys regarding the center position? Because the fact that we've only taken guards is quite concerning to me. I'm going to stop there because it's a two-part question. This has been something that I have been criticizing the 49ers in particular for a very, very long time. I can't stand the fact that we draft players that played in a certain position and then move them somewhere else, right? It's like, I want us to draft a pure center to play center in the NFL. Don't give me a tweener between tackle and guard and then say, well, we're going to try him at center and see if he can do it. Or don't give me a guy that never played center or only did it for 1 or 2 games in his entire collegiate career and then say, we're going to try him at center. I personally don't like that. So for me, I am very concerned about that. Now, we talked about Hennessy earlier on. That is a good look that we have there. But, Tony, how concerning is that for you, the center position in particular? Sometimes, most of the times, responsible for calling out protections and things like that, right, to the quarterback. The centers have a very big job here. And if you look at the guys that Kyle Shanahan has sought out while he's been here with the Niners, it is proven centers in the NFL, not proven guards that can play center. He goes after real centers here. You know, you think about the guy, his name is slipping my mind right now, the guy that we signed from the Giants, but it was Richburg, Weston Richburg, right? You look at the MAC, right? He went out and got those guys because those he felt were very crucial. If you feel that way about NFL veterans, why don't you feel that way about college guys? So for me, it is concerning. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to put it up at like an 8.5. For me, that's how concerned I am. Don't go out there and keep getting these guys that don't naturally play that position and then say, okay, you can do it. Not if you're expecting them to play that position year one. Only if you're expecting them to play that position year one. Now, if you want to give them, let's say that they just become a backup and then they get a chance to learn this center position for a full year or 2, and then you're going to roll them in as the other guy leaves, like a Hennessy, a veteran, right? Maybe he's only here for a year or 2 and plays that role for us. Then I can kind of understand it. But if you're drafting a guard and going to say, okay, go play center as a rookie, I'm super concerned. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, I'm over the whole center thing. If they want to stick with Brendel, stick with him. Sorry. That's their choice. That's what they want to do. It's fine. It is what it is. Clearly, they're not going to move off of him. So with that being said, I would like to at least – my thing is this. I wanted them to sign Drew Dahlman. I think Drew Dahlman would have been – it's more the way of what you said, going after experience, going after a veteran. I think that would have been the ideal situation. in my opinion. But they want to stick with Brendel, so they're going to stick with Brendel, and that's it. There's nothing you could do.
All right. And then the second part of DJ Malone's question here is, when should we find a wingman, a tight end 2, for 12 personnel to assist for George Kittle? Tony, you get to go first here. But I personally, I think they may have addressed it. It was a highly criticized move that they made in the offseason, but I think maybe they did that this year. What do you think, Tony?
Was that? Oh, with the backup tight end. Yeah. When they signed, what the fuck is his name?
Luke Farrell.
Yeah, and shame on you. You're an Ohio State fan. You don't know nothing about this dude. He was pretty good at Ohio State.
He was not a pass catching guy. So okay, here we go. Let me go ahead and get this out the way now, right? I want a complimentary pass catcher, right? And I think Kyle does too. And so at Ohio State, he wasn't given many opportunities as a pass catcher. Was he good when given the opportunities? Sure, right? But
yeah.
Those opportunities were like George Kittle's in college, right? Like, so maybe we find another diamond in the rough like we did with George Kittle, a guy who was good if given the opportunity, but not a lot of opportunities. Maybe we found that, right? But so that's what I felt with Luke. His whole entire professional career, which is not that extensive, only since 2021, he's been more of a blocking guy. I mean, we're talking about a guy with a grand total.
You have to look at who's in front of him. Evan Ingram.
He was in Jacksonville. Yeah, but they didn't like Ingram like that. They kept bringing other guys in.
Evan Ingram got signed to a long-term extension with Jacksonville. He was their number 1 tight end, a receiving tight end. So obviously, if you invest, that's like saying him coming to the Niners now, he's going to be the top option in the passing game, and Kittle's going to be the blocker. Hypothetically, that's what that's saying. I think this is a perfect scenario. You find a guy that wasn't used properly. It wasn't the number 1 option in college. Wasn't the number 1 option in Jacksonville. But when given the opportunity, he made the most of it. He was productive when given the opportunity. So what does that say? That gives Kyle multiple variations with formations. Like, he could come out and run 2 tight end sets with a single back. And now Juszczyk comes off the field. Or he can go single tight end, or he can put Kittle as a wide receiver, flexed all the way wide, and put Farrell as the inline tight end. You know what I'm saying? Go one true wide receiver, and then motion everybody, and they shift the whole formation. Now you're in a pro formation. So it's kind of like they never had this type of piece, right? When you had the guy that went to the Falcons, I forgot his damn name. He was known Warner. He was more of a blocker. Offered you very little as a wide receiver. Very little. Matter of fact, I remember him dropping passes. But then you had Dwelly was a great wide receiver, but couldn't block nobody. Now you have a kid that could offer you something as a wide receiver, but is a good blocker in pass protection, run blocking. So it gives you the opportunity to now get Kittle. Like, Debo's gone. Aiyuk's not here. It's clear to me that Kittle's going to be the number 1 option in the passing game.
Ooh, that's a bold take right there.
What they're going to do is they're going to use Kittle and not hold him in to protect or block or whatever. And now this kid's going to take on that role. That's why they went out and signed him immediately. They signed him the second day of free agency, right? I even think the tampering period they signed him. So they identified that player that they feel that can give Kittle the opportunity to become more of a, scary to say, productive wide receiver in the offense, because he has been productive with the dual duty roles. So I just think this gives Kyle a little bit more flex. So, hey, you see Kittle lined up in the slot. What are you going to do? You're going to roll a safety and put a linebacker or a bigger nickel or a safety up on the line and try to take him out of the game. This kid can run out into a pattern and beat a backside linebacker in a one-on-one matchup if they run 2 tight ends. So it gives Kyle options.
I think I'm a little more pessimistic than Tony is with this one, guys. I mean, even in his professional career, this guy has less targets a year than Kyle Juszczyk. And Juice don't get a ton of targets.
He's never been put in an offense like this.
Now, that is
Jacksonville's
true.
offense
I can't argue that.
Sucks. It's heavy wide receiver. It's heavily dependent on wide receivers and Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram. Well, no, I would say first would be wide receivers, and Evan Ingram would be the second option. But creativity, alignments, moving him, getting him that matchup, putting him in positions where he can have success. He never had that in Jacksonville. He's going to have that in San Francisco. So that's the way I just look at it. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-pro, but I do think it's going to be a significant upgrade over what they've had in the past.
Well, we will definitely see how it plays out here. We got another question here from Dan. He says, assuming when Aiyuk returns, if Watkins or Robinson gets that 4, meaning the 4th wide receiver, should we even start Aiyuk? He says, I know I have beef with him, but should we trade him week 9 if he's not practicing since last year? I just want to say this. I'm gonna go way before Tony here when it comes to this trading Aiyuk thing. I think everybody should get that out of their heads right away, immediately. One, he's coming off of an injury. We have no idea how he's going to look, if he's even going to be ready by week 9. That's number one. Number two, it's going to cost the 49ers a ton of money to trade this kid. I wouldn't be so quick to just go ahead and just say, okay, let's trade him. I just don't know that there's even going to be takers, right? If you're a GM of a team, Tony, and I want you to be completely honest, you're our resident GM for a reason. What are you possibly offering the 49ers for Brandon Aiyuk week 9? Let's just say he's played in 2 games, and in those 2 games, he's got 17 catches, 250 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I'm giving that's a lot for 2 games. Let's just say he does it. What are you offering the Niners by the trade deadline?
I would lowball the shit out of him.
Exactly.
But listen, it's about moving that contract. They'll take it and run. I honestly think their plan last year was to showcase him, to to create interest in him, and move him. Mm-hmm. I just think there's bad vibes. I think there's bad juju between the team and him. You know, Terrell Owens was there talking to him. Patrick Willis was there talking to him. You know, and one of the beat writers posted like a picture of them like surrounded talking to him. And I mean, it's a still shot, but the body language, like you just see, like he's just like standing there, like if I'm being talked to by Terrell Owens and fucking Patrick Willis, I even think Frank Gore is there talking to him. It's like, bro, like these dudes are. These
I don't
dudes
understand
are
what people.
Like,
well, what do you want him to be doing? Like, oh my God, like I'm talking to
no,
Grace.
like
what do you want him to be doing?
Look engaged, not just sit there like you know.
How does one look engaged?
You know, like I don't know, like
I'm body language.
I'm 100% body language. I can tell if you are 100% locked in or if you're 100% locked out. I will tell you. I will tell you when you're ready to fight. I can tell you when people are ready to fucking start acting wild, like wilding out. It's because of what I do for a living. I've been doing it so long. I've seen it. I can tell you when shit's about to hit. So I just don't get that vibe. And the number one thing to me is if I'm the 49ers and he's cleared for week 9, he's not stepping on the field at week 9. He's not stepping on the field until he's in good shape, football shape. He's going to be practicing because when he came back before he got hurt, we all said it like, damn, he looks big. Like he don't look like the Aiyuk. Like, listen, it is what it is. He was out of shape. I don't give a shit what anyone says. The dude was out of shape, flat out. I'm not blaming the injury on out of shape because his leg got clipped out underneath him, and there was a chief player there. But the dude looked out of shape. Like he was taking himself in and out of the game. It just wasn't. He didn't seem like he was engaged like the previous season.
He looked like someone who missed the offseason with the team. That's what he looked like to me.
But that's why I'm saying he's not touching the field week 9 if he's clear. Because we're not going through this again.
That tree in his backyard that he was catching passes around didn't really seem to help. Right? That's a terrible offseason program, right?
I'm not.
But I want to go back to something that you said I thought was very pivotal, right? Like you said that you can read.
What's that? There's interference. You just
what about
did
now?
something.
Is that,
yeah, you're good.
Is that better? Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to go back to something that you said about body language. You can tell when someone's engaged. You can tell when shit's about to pop off and all that, right? And I think a big part of that is knowing the person, right? I don't know that I've ever seen Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm going to do air quotes, engaged, right? His personality is very laid back. I've seen him when he's having a phenomenal game, when him and Debo are just tearing teams up and they're on the sideline, and Debo will be talking to him and he's looking straight. He's just standing there, right? I think that's more of a personality, not so much a reflection of whether he's listening or not, right? Remember, I'll go back to something that a lot of people viewed as a negative. Remember when Kyle was supposedly chewing him out about his shorts and all that stuff, right? Kyle is barking at him, like looking him directly in his eye, and Aiyuk is kind of just standing there like, yeah, and like just pulls off the shorts and kicks him to the side, right? Even when he's getting chewed out by the head coach, that body language said, I'm not engaged. I think it's less about actually being engaged, and that's just his personality, if that makes any sense. Like, right? I see, it's like Nick Bosa, right? We've never seen Nick Bosa excited when talking to someone, right? He goes to the presser, and it's the driest, slowest, like, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that he's not excited. It doesn't mean that he didn't have a good game.
He's very monotone. He's very monotone, Bosa. But
more than tone,
his whole family
body language.
Like that.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. How do we know that that's not Aiyuk? I've never seen Aiyuk like excited and like, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I feel like it's more of a personality than it is a reflection of whether or not he's absorbing.
I'll just tell you this: we're dealing with a different Brandon Aiyuk from the pre-contract, his fourth year, that off season, phenomenal shape, running. You see him at the workouts. There were people saying that were at the actual practices in the stands, that were in the training camp, saying he was dominating, laughing, giggling.
Hands down the best receiver on the field, and it wasn't close.
He just did not show that. Ever since this whole thing started with the contract, I don't want to make the show about Brandon Aiyuk in this situation, but ever since this whole thing started with the contract, he's a different dude. In my opinion, he became a different dude. Like, it's more off of, all right, I got to ball the fuck out to get what I want next year. And it just doesn't seem, he's not like that dude. Even the example you gave, right? The example you gave is crucial. And I'm going to tell you why. He had the right color shorts under the wrong color shorts, knowing he was wrong in case he got called out on it. He was prepared. He wanted to test it and see how far he can get away with it. And Kyle checked his ass like he should. And he took his pants off and threw them, knowing he put his tail between his legs because he had no say. He knew it. He tried to push and see what he can get away with Kyle. And Kyle said, absolutely not. This is my team. You're wearing no shorts. Offense is in red. You better put fucking red shorts on, or whatever the color was. But that, to me, I don't like that. Like, we called Debo a diva. You never saw Debo do shit like that. Like, Debo was a diva in a different way. Once Debo got what he wanted, all right, Debo was back. He was on the field running. He wasn't in the greatest shape. Debo was never in the greatest shape, but it's just that whole thing. Like, that one thing just totally turned my taste against Brandon Aiyuk to the point that he knew he was wrong for what he did, but he wanted to see if he can get away with it. I don't have time for that.
I've definitely been there. I won't try to crucify anybody for having that opinion, because Debo did the same thing with me during his negotiations and how he returned.
Oh, with the thing, sure.
I'm just saying I'm the same exact way. So I understand anybody. Like I said, I don't hide my biases. I was done with Debo from that whole before he signed his extension. So I completely get it. This is going to be the last question that we take, and then we're going to get into what the show is about, because I don't want to keep Tony too much longer here. Mark says, are Collins and West expected to start week one, or do you see Salah leaning towards vets like Givens, Elliott to start the season? And I think this is a good question here. I'll go first here. I think saying the word start is I think it's silly for any rookie, even the first round pick in Mykel Williams. I think we shouldn't expect anybody to start week one that's a rookie. It's great if they can, right? However, I think that week one we should expect contributions from these rookies, including Collins and CJ West. Those are guys that I want to see contributions from. I want to see some good rotation from them. They might not get in until the third drive of the defense, right? But that's when you want to see that they're getting out there and getting some burn in meaningful time. I'm not expecting any of these rookies to start week one. I want them to ramp up as the season goes on. And I want the team to use these guys sparingly if possible. If the veterans can come in there and give us something early, right? Because these guys also, you guys got to remember, we're talking about 18 weeks here. These kids have never played an 18-week season, even if they made it to the college playoffs in the college championship game. They've never come close to 18 weeks. Now imagine if the Niners make the postseason, right? So I'm not looking for these guys to come in week one and be heavy contributors. I don't want to see these guys playing 50, 60, 70% of the defensive snaps. That's not a good sign to me if they're playing that much that early. Let's lean on these vets. And let's work these young guys in. Let's let them go ahead and get their football feel for the pro level and work them in so that they can be contributors when we start approaching the end of the season, right? The last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. That's when I want to see those guys get more snaps and become more key guys. That's when I want to see if any of those guys can crack the starting role. But week one, if they're starting week one, cool, great. That means that they really, really showed well in preseason with the pads on and the joint practice. We have a joint practice with the is it the Raiders?
Yeah, always we have the Raiders.
Yeah, I joint practice with the Raiders, right? Like that means that they showed well during that time if they are going to be week one starters. That's excellent for those guys. But even if they are starting week one, I want to see rotation. What's your take on it, Tony?
I think week one, the week one, well, not week one. I'm going to say first day of training camp, the vets get the nod. I think you'll see them trot out Collins, Givens, Anderson from last year with West, and then Collins as the depth chart. You got to watch the Valdez kid from Washington. From what I've been reading about him, he's been, again, you can't tell with pads, but he's been moving well. He's got a good first step off the snap. High motor dude, very strong upper body. Another guy that was pushing like West did. The grad assistants that are with the 49ers with those giant like pads on their arms and chests that they wear. So I think right now, pencil in, you're going to go with the vets. And I think, honestly, the one I think who could step up quick because he's been on the field right now as far as the defensive tackles, I think West could get a role quick. I think the way West, the type of player West is, CJ West, I'm talking about, low to the ground, very strong hands, very, very, very strong hands. Doesn't have that quick step, but what he does is he's so powerful with the punch. You don't need that first step to have if you have that ability. So with that being said, I think he could have a shot for a pretty decent role. But don't sleep on Collins. Don't sleep on Collins. I think Collins will have a role in this defense, in this rotation. He'll be sprinkled in accordingly due to him missing the camps and stuff like that. But if he's fully ready to go, day one of training camp, I think he'll be all right. I don't think there'll be an issue. I expect both him and Michael Williams to be ready for day one, and I expect them both to play well, and I think put some of the doubters, ease some of the doubters that are out there.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Guys, thank you so much for those questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the answers that we gave you guys. Again, we're watching from the outside and just giving you guys our opinions here. But the purpose of the show is who's going to step up at the wide receiver position, man. And this is something that a lot of 49er fans are just kind of guessing and throwing, boiled pasta up against the wall to see if it's done, right? That's kind of where we are. Tony, man, let's go ahead and just jump into it, man. Again, we're starting week one without our number one and number two wide receiver from the last 4 seasons, and Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. What are your concerns with this wide receiving core? And let's just start there. What are your biggest concerns? Like, where do we need to see the most improvement from the wide receivers all around? I mean, I think that they finished off the year last year with Jennings and Pearsall really coming into their own. But one of the biggest concerns was, well, when Juwan Jennings has a monster game, kind of were let down, whether it be the defense's fault or the offense just not being able to answer at the end when it really, really counted. The blame can go either way, but if you take Juwan Jennings' top 4 games in his career, they're phenomenal games, right? But we lost them all. We couldn't finish. Where do you see the biggest need for improvement from the wide receiving core? Forget the rest of the offense for a second, just the wide receiving core. What do you want to see as far as improvement overall?
Well, the first thing I want to see is who's going to be available and who's not going to be available. Is Robinson going to get suspended or is he not going to get suspended? Right now, Jennings is going to be paired with Pearsall as the 1 and 2 guys. You're going to sprinkle in Cowing after the way they've been showing him and using him in the camps. So I think that's going to be your top 3 as of right now, penciled in going into camp. Robinson is the wild card. If he doesn't get suspended, I think he could have a significant role in this offense. Came from the St. Louis Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, in a very similar offense, running very similar routes. So he right now is a step ahead of the rookies, the guys that were not on the team last year that were brought in, lower tier guys. So that's the number one key factor. What's the status of Robinson? Is he going to be suspended or not? That's number 1 for me. Number 2, I think Jennings is primed for another big season, a decent season, contract year. I think we're going to get the best of him. You're going to see the best of him, and I think he will crack 1,000 yards this year. Pearsall, they held out with a hamstring injury, sore hamstring. Was working out in the side field with no issues, but, it just seems like there's always like these issues, not you per se, but some of these beat writers, they make huge deals out of these freaking soft tissue, like these hamstrings, right? Pearsall got shot last year. He had that injury with his shoulder. Once he got cleared from being shot, he didn't miss a game, didn't miss a practice, nothing. He played for the rest of the season. Granted, he was brought along slow because he missed the camp, but there was no injuries, no nothing, and he finished the season very strong, in my opinion. Still needed work, still needs to improve on things, work on things, but you saw why the 49ers took him at 31 that year. He has that wiggleness. He can create separation, made some pretty decent catches, made some nice catch and run, yak yards. So with that being said, I kind of feel like we need to just tone it back with these like tweaked hamstrings. These guys they're pros. There's no need for them to be on the field right now. They need to be on the field when it counts. Get them in there in training camp. You get them reps in the preseason. You shut them down after the second preseason game. Get them prepped for the season, and then let them go. Let them run. Let them go. That's what we need to. That's what we need to focus on. As far as the rookies getting tweaked, you got to understand something. These guys played a full football season. Some of them played an extended football season because they were in the collegiate playoffs. Then they went through the training to become a track star. Then they have to revert to come back off of a track star workout to become a football player. You're going to tweak something. It's evident. You're going from football to track star to back to a football player. So I'm not concerned overly with the soft tissue and the hamstring. If it's continuous through the year, then that's something to talk about. But right now, I'm good. I'm good with Pearsall. As of right now, day 1 of training camp with the unknown status of Robinson. I'm going with Jennings, Pearsall, and Cowing as the third wide receiver, plus whoever they have behind them. Watkins will get some run. And I think the pieces are there. I don't think they need to have – everybody wants Brandon Aiyuk to become back healthy and be that number 1 guy. But you saw last year without Brandon Aiyuk. I thought they looked pretty good in the passing game and offense, moving the ball down the field. That's just me, but it is what it is.
I think my biggest concern is separation and precise route running for these guys. So when it comes to separation, a lot of these guys let me start with Juwan Jennings, the proven NFL guy, right? He gets separation in a very short window. He's not going to get a lot of separation downfield. So he's going to be that guy that gets his separation in the first 5 yards of his route, right? But defenders have the quickness to recover if that ball's not right there on him immediately. So you're not going to get a lot of yards after catch. And so he can generate the separation early in his route. That's great. But when it comes to the rest of the wide receivers not named Aiyuk, it's going to be about separation early in the route and maintaining it, right? A lot of the guys that are going to be filling in for Aiyuk in the absence of Debo, in the absence of Aiyuk, they're mostly rookies, especially if Robinson isn't here, like Tony said. If those guys aren't here early, Robinson and Aiyuk, then what we're going to be dealing with are guys that are used to being college open. College open is very different than NFL open. So it's going to be important for those guys to get comfortable with that. And I think even Pearsall kind of struggled with that at times, even down the stretch, right? There were some plays where it was great, right? And then there were other plays where he went back to just not creating that separation. Too many moves, trying to make the defender guess which direction he's going to go, like the choppy feet and all that stuff, where if you just go ahead and commit to it and make your move, then boom, you're open. And the reason that's important is to my second point with the precision with the route running, right? We have a quarterback right now that will throw to a spot, and you got to be there when you're supposed to be there. So, yes, the separation is important, but the route running is probably more important, the precision in the route running and the timing, right? If you're going to waste 3 choppy steps and you have a quarterback who is throwing to a mark, those 3 wasted steps, the stutter steps and all that stuff, it's going to put you a yard or 2 behind where you're supposed to be. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? But it is a big deal for a guy throwing to a spot and not to a person, okay? With Debo, it was more about throwing to a spot, and then if it wasn't the spot, Debo was often turning around and showing his chest to the quarterback. He's gone now. He's not here. Now, Debo could get away with that because Debo had an uncanny ability to make the first person miss, even if they were right there on him after he caught the ball. He did this little, hip turn, and he could shake the first guy off of him right away. Debo did that very well. I won't take that away from him. Pearsall doesn't do that. I don't know if Cowing can do that because Cowing didn't get many receptions, if any, right? He didn't get them, right? We don't know what Nayar is going to do. We don't know what any of these other guys are going to do when it comes to that because they're all question marks. So no Robinson, no Aiyuk, Debo's gone. How are these guys going to get that separation and run those routes? They have to be there at a certain time. So I think preseason is going to be crucial for that because now they're going up against NFL talent and having to do it. And so that's what I'm going to be watching the most. I think that should be the biggest concern. Forget the names, forget what they can do after the catch. I think right now we have to focus on bringing the ball in, and that starts with precise route running, getting to your spot on time, and generating NFL levels of separation, not college levels of separation. All of these guys that we talked about are going to have to do that. You know, it was what's the receiver that we drafted again? What's his name?
Pearsall?
No, not Pearsall.
Watkins.
Yes, Watkins, right. Again, all these guys are coming from college and generating college levels of separation. These are the guys that we're hopeful for, right? That 4.37 speed. Let's see you put it to use, right? Let's see you go ahead and put that foot in the ground and make a cut and then take off. And then that's how you got to generate that separation. That's what I'm going to be watching for early on in the preseason, Tony. Do you have a response to that at all, or do you want to go ahead and get to the next part of this?
My one response is this. I think you're going to see a totally different passing game or structure of a passing game with Debo not here. I think you're going to see more medium to down the field routes with more the true route concepts rather than tunnel screens, bubble screens, stuff like that. Quick hitches just to get the ball in his hand. I think you're going to see Purdy develop as a quarterback to attack the mid-level and potentially more down the field using a Cowing speed, maybe going into the second level between the linebackers and safeties, like that shallow crosser, that deep crosser Debo would run with the Jennings. Jennings is not going to be a quick-footed a quick-footed wide receiver that creates separations with his feet. He's going to be the guy that gets the ball at the high point. That's the difference between Jennings and a guy like Debo, where it's chop, 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 break, chop, 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 break. Now, Pearsall could be the chop, 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 break dude, but Pearsall could also run that intermediate shallow crosser, that deep crosser, the post, the go. He could run those routes and still be effective. Where Debo, if you're asking him to run that route, other than year 2 where he came out like a freight train, you didn't see that separation. So I just feel that I think this is going to be a more passing game that looked like the Atlanta attack, like more downfield, more beyond the second level, if you will, than it did in the early years of San Francisco.
Yeah, and I do want to give Jennings, I know you said that he's going to be the high point guy. Another thing that Jennings does well, I'm going to compare him to Debo in this sense. When he gets the ball in his hand, he does a really good job of usually making that first person miss or at least struggle to bring him down. He is a guy that will throw a mean-ass stiff arm at somebody, or you know what I mean? He also does that little hip thing to, like, get him off of him because normally when he's making a catch, it is usually contested or there's somebody right there closing in on him, and he is not shy about trying to make that first person miss either. So that is something that he does well there. Tony, the question in the title, who steps up, man? Someone's got to step up. We don't know if Robinson's going to be here. Aiyuk is definitely not going to be here week 1. Who has to step up early? I'm talking the first 3 or 4 weeks to really, really come in here. I think we know what Juwan Jennings is going to be, so I'm not looking for him to step up. I'm looking for him to maintain, right? You take him out of it, someone's got to step up in this offensive wide receiving core. Give me 1, maybe 2 if you can come up with somebody. And again, this is all about hopes now, right? This isn't we don't know the answer to this. This is about what we hope to see. If you could pick a player or 2 at the wide receiver position that's going to step up and really take their game to the next level, and meaning the NFL level, maybe take a step forward because Pearsall's been in the NFL. Who are we looking for to be that guy?
I'm going to say Pearsall. I think Pearsall is going to take a nice step forward. But I also want to say this. If Robinson does not get suspended, I think Robinson could shock the fan base. I really do. I think Robinson, I mean, because you got to look at it, right? The way they just went out and jumped on him. Boom, they signed him. Right? Robinson, boom, 2-year deal. They went out, they identified him coming from the same offense. So it's not somebody that's going to have to sit and learn. It's, okay, Robinson, here's your chance to have a bigger role in a very similar offense. And that's somebody that I think could be that guy that steps up. And I say could because of the suspension that's pending. If he is suspended, I'm going Pearsall followed by Counting. If he's not suspended, I would say maybe I'm going to go 1A, 1B, Robinson, Pearsall.
All right. I like it, man. What about we signed this guy from the Giants, Isaiah Hodgins, and when we first signed him, there was some talk about like untapped potential there. Right now, this is a 6'3" guy. I like that the Niners went out. If you look at the 49ers wide receiving core right now, there are more guys over 6'1" than under. That's not the norm for this team. I'm telling you guys right now, that is not the norm for this team. Kyle Shanahan has been 6 foot 5'11" with a bullet. Like that's been his thing, right? You got Robinson under 6'1" or under. You got Jordan Watkins at 5'11", but then you look at Pearsall, 6'3", Tariq Owens, 6'3", Isaiah Nayar, 6'4", Malik Knowles, 6'2", Juwan Jennings, 6'3". I thought he was closer to 6'4", but cool, they got him listed at 6'3". Isaiah Hodgins, 6'3", right? Then you got some other guys, Gage, Russell Gage is here, 6 foot. You got Jacob Cowing at 5'9", and you have Junior Bergen at 5'9" as well. And then there's Brandon Aiyuk at 6 foot, but he's not going to be here. We're not talking about him right now. Most of these guys are bringing some size. I want to look for one of these bigger guys to take a step forward. And I'm hoping that Isaiah Hodgins is a guy that maybe can step up and surprise. This is a guy that no one's talking about after we signed him. I haven't heard his name mentioned much. I'm going to throw his name in the mix here, man. This is a guy that he's had, not a lot of NFL success. If you're looking at his career here, this is a guy with only 83 targets, 60 receptions, and 600 yards. So he's averaging just over 10 yards of reception. But when he's flashed pretty well. So I'm going to put some pressure on him to step up. Maybe not come in and be wide receiver 1 or 2, right? I don't expect that from him right now. But can he throw his name in the hat for wide receiver 4? I'm looking at guys like him. And if I had to pick one other one, I do like what you said about Pearsall stepping up. I think that's the big hope for everybody. I'm also going to go with the shorter guy, Jacob Cowing, right? This is someone Kyle is doing something with holding on to these speedy guys. He just won't let it go. I feel like there's an aspect or an element to his playbook that he has not been able to expose yet, right? Not here, right? He had it, like you said, in Atlanta. He had that speedy guy. I mean, Julio had the size and the speed to do it, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence that Russell Gage is here, right? Another guy that played in Atlanta and all that stuff, right? Maybe not with Kyle. I don't know if he was there with Kyle. He's been in the league for 7 years. Was he? No. So he didn't play with Kyle, right? But Kyle is doing this thing where it was Danny Gray, right? He liked that speed element. He went out his first year and got Marquise Goodwin, right? Now he's got a guy that we drafted who run a 4.37. He's got a Jacob Cowing here. Kyle wants to do something with speed. He wants to do something. What it is, I don't know, because we haven't been able to take advantage of it since he's been here. Maybe one of these speedy guys steps up. Is it Cowing, right? Or is it the rookie? What do you think about that, Tony? What is Kyle trying to do with the speed element? You said yourself that this is going to look a little bit more like that Atlanta offense, or we're hoping to see it look like more like that Atlanta offense. We know if you look at the advanced metrics and all that stuff, if I'm not mistaken, Brock Purdy's number 2 with depth of target since he's been the starter for the 49ers. He's not doing that Patrick Mahomes dink and dunk bullshit. He's not doing that at all. He is throwing the rock around the field. And now maybe this is the year that Kyle tries to take advantage of that, that depth of target and get the ball in some speedy guys' hands, right? Is it going to be Jordan Watkins at 5'11"? Is it going to be the 5'9" Jacob Cowing, man? There's a speed aspect that Kyle wants to take advantage of here. He's not giving up on it, and I applaud him for that. Maybe stubbornness. Maybe it's a stubborn thing, but he hasn't abandoned it at all. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think he's actually evolving his offense with a speed element now, not a speed element with 5 yards and less, or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage or 5 yards behind. It's more of an passing element down the field. He's looking for the guy that can create the separation on a go route, on that deep post, on that comeback route, on the shallow and intermediate cross. This is going to be a different looking offense with these pieces that have been added to the arsenal for the passing game. You don't have the not the gimmick player. You don't have the wild card player. You have wide receivers now. And as far as Hodgson, I think Isaiah Hodgson, the Niners have a tendency to grab players a year before that they're going to use them and expect something in return from them. I think this could be a potential replacement for Juwan Jennings if he has a big season and it's a number that they can't afford to re-sign as a wide receiver coming forward, because he is like Juwan Jennings is Isaiah Hodgson to the T. I mean, the tenacity that Juwan Jennings plays with, it might not be Isaiah Hodgson, but skill set, creative separation, uses his height. He is a physical wide receiver. He's not going to get punked out. But he's not wired like Juwan Jennings. He's like the same statute, stuff like that, speed and skill set as Jawan Jennings. So with that being said, this could be the next up and coming of Jawan Jennings if he balls out and becomes out of price range for the 49ers. As far as the other guys, I fully expect Kyle to rotate the shit out of these guys in the training camp, in the preseason, get them looks, and see who he can do what with in certain packages and personnel groupings. Now you can see where they come out with a 2 tight end set with 2 backs, flex Kittle out one side, or do twins to the right side, and your speed guy could be Cowing, and the slot guy could be Kittle, right? And you could run like a go concept with a mesh underneath with Kittle, something like that. He could be He could be doing things right now that and you got to remember something. They didn't make the playoffs this year, so there was time. There was a lot of time that he had to sit there and think and draw on cocktail napkins and stuff like that, because I'm telling you, he did it. That's the way he is. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's come up with and how he's going to evolve this offense. It's just like what Robert Saleh said. Yes, the defense is going to be similar to what it was when I was here in San Francisco previously, but my defense has evolved. In the NFL, you have to evolve, because if you stay stagnant, you're done. So with that being said, I do like the different requirements or the different pieces that they're adding with different skill sets. So it's giving them a different look across the board instead of having same guys doing same type of things.
You know, Robert Saleh said something that I thought was pretty cool. I was listening to his presser recently, and he was talking about him working with what's the guy's name? He was the Seahawks defensive coordinator when Robert Saleh was there.
Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley. Yes, thank you. He said, hold on one second. I just got challenged here. Hey, holler at me right after this, Matthew. All right, send me your PlayStation name. We'll get on right after the show is over, bro. What's up?
Oh shit.
All right.
Oh shit.
Gus Bradley. One of the things that Robert Saleh said in his presser that I really, really liked hearing, like it literally gave me goosebumps hearing him say it, right? They asked him about how he's going to work with Gus Bradley, right? And he says that we see things while we have the same system, so to speak, it's a little bit different. We're going to get out of here soon. All right. Yeah. He said that while it's the same system or scheme, we see things different. Saleh, not going to quote him exactly, but he was basically saying, I go off of feel and he goes off of technicality, right? Like he said that Gus Bradley sees the field the way that Kyle sees the field. Every move, every player has a specific role, where Saleh is more like a feel guy, right? Like just go out there and do it, where Bradley is more of a technical guy. Like your role on this specific play is to do this, to be in this part of the field, or to disrupt that portion so this guy can do it. And I just think that is going to be a perfect balance. So I really, really liked hearing that. And to go back to the offensive thing that you said something about, you said that we missed out on the playoffs and it gave Kyle time to kind of just scribble some new plays. Tony, I think the biggest blessing in disguise for the 49ers this upcoming season is the fact that we didn't make the playoffs and we moved on from Debo early. This wasn't a week 4, week 7, week 9 trade, right? The Debo package is gone. I always felt that the Debo package was holding the 49ers back. I've said this on multiple shows before. I'm going to say it again. There was a game where Debo went down on one of the early drives of the game, and the Niners offense just didn't do anything. There was no adjustments. There was no second half adjustments. And when Kyle went to the presser at the end of the game, he basically said, well, when Debo went down, he was a big part of the game plan for the week, and we didn't have him, so we kind of just had to go with, what the players knew for the week of preparation. I hated that answer. I never want to hear Kyle Shanahan say something like that again. And I think with having this much uncertainty, specifically at the wide receiver position this year, that all goes out the window, right? There's not going to be a Brandon Aiyuk package to start this season. You know what I'm saying? There's obviously not going to be a Deebo Samuel game plan going into any game to start this season this year, right? Could there be a George Kittle game? Sure. Could there be a Jawan Jennings game? Sure. But I think that Kyle is going to get back to what made him good, and that is spreading the ball around and hitting you guys with anybody and everybody, right? The only one constant that I think that this offense is going to run through this season is the running back Christian McCaffrey. But when it comes to the passing attack, I think that the playbook is wide open, and I think Kyle Shanahan is going to get back to having fun with his schemes, with his play designs, and so on. And that's what got me really, really excited for this season. I can't say it enough, man. I think Kyle now has people in every coordinator position where he doesn't have to hyper-focus on it. I don't think he's worried about special teams anymore. I think he's going to let Boyer go out there and do his thing. He's going to check in from time to time. Do you have any questions for me? Do you need me to help you with anything? Boyer's going to be like, dude, no, I got this. And it's going to be a thumbs up. I think he's going to check in with Saleh. Hey, Saleh. Saleh's just going to give him a look. All right, cool. I'm out of here. And he is going to hyper-focus on making this offense special and putting Kyle Shanahan's name back into that top 3 of offensive coordinators in the NFL. Not head coaches, offensive coordinators. I think that that's going to be the year that we do. All right, so I'm really, really looking forward to it, man. Tony, any final thoughts, man? This has been a phenomenal show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any final thoughts or anything like that, now is your opportunity to share them, and then we're going to get up out of here, man.
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Guys, we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Here's my final thought, guys. Spend some time with your loved ones. Let people know that you appreciate them. I got this random text message today from my uncle, right? I'm just going to tell you the first 2 sentences. It was like, I love you. Second sentence was, nothing's wrong. I won't tell you guys the rest of the message, but I think it's important that we let people know that we care about them. I'll even tell people what I texted you the other day. Hey, bud, hope everything is going well. Thinking about you and the family. It was something along those lines I texted you a couple of days ago. It wasn't about, hey, you want to do a show or anything like that. It was literally just, checking in on you and the family and hoping that everything is good. I think we have to make that more of a norm, guys. I think that we have to reach out to people and just let them know, hey, I appreciate you. So go out there and do that today. You might brighten up someone's day. You never know how it can affect them, man. Just spread love. Let's be positive in everything that we're doing, and let's move with intentions, guys. All right. Thank you all, everybody out there in the chat. You guys were A+. Sound the horn for you guys. And that's going to do it, man. We're going to get out of here, Tony. Let's go home, man. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always
remain faithful.
Peace.
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. Hey, see, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us, we them nothing but Niners. Nothing but Niners. We nothing